$800 one-time check for Social Security, including retirement, disability, SSDI, and Medicare beneficiaries. Some new details were just released. I have all the information and what you need to know right here in the video, so let's get right into it. I know in this video, I do want to share with you some details in regards to a one-time $800 check, which would be going out to about 64.5 million fixed income beneficiaries that I mentioned at the beginning of this video, and what they're now saying about this, as there are some lawmakers out there right now that are trying to implement some major changes, and this is something that's been around for a while, but as of recently, they are pushing this very hard, and they do have a backup plan for all of this as well. That's what I want to talk about here in the video, and the latest details about this, as some new information was just released. Let's get into it and talk about what's going on. Really fast before we do, thanks so much for joining me. If you're new here or if you haven't done so yet, please make sure to subscribe right down below the video. It's totally free to do so, and I'm here for you right by your side every single day to help you out in any way that I possibly can, to keep you updated, and of course to continue advocating on your behalf as things are changing rapidly. And we know it's a very busy, confusing, and uncertain time, and we know that Congress also has a bunch of things up their sleeve right now, trying to reform Social Security, fix up these programs, and anything popping up right now you can possibly grab and or take advantage of. So again, all I want to do is help you out, keep you informed, and point out anything out there you can possibly get right now during this super hard time for a lot of people. So again, thanks so much for joining me. Please subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet, and let's get into it and talk about the latest details on this. What is Congress doing as far as what is this major thing they're trying to pull off, and what does this all mean as far as the backup plan as well, and how this could possibly result in a one-time $800 check for about 64.5 million people out there right now who are low-income, fixed-income beneficiaries. So there's actually a lot of moving parts about this. Let me explain what is actually going on here. So this big concept, we've all heard about it. In fact, I've had dedicated videos here on the channel talking about this as well. This has been around for a couple years, which is Medicare for all. Remember that whole thing? Yeah, it's back, and it is back with a lot of popularity, okay? So as of recently, the last several months here, we've been hearing out of this big group of lawmakers in Congress right here, right now, who want to implement Medicare for all. In fact, they're pushing this more now than they ever have in previous times, okay? So over the last few years, we've heard about this Medicare for all push a lot. However, as of recently, the last, call it 6 months or so, we've seen this a lot lately. In fact, these lawmakers are out really aggressively pushing this, saying that this Medicare for all idea is the solution to a lot of things that are going on right now. Just a single payer program in the United States rather than all of this private insurance and things like this. They basically say a lot of people are uninsured or underinsured, and we need to make that fixed up by just doing Medicare for all. So anyway, we can talk about all that in a separate video. In fact, I do have dedicated videos here on the channel talking exactly about this, but let me talk about how this idea would translate into this $800 one-time check. All right, so let me explain the other details about this. So the backup plan on this Medicare for all, which would cost trillions of dollars and would be a major thing. This would take a lot of effort through Congress. Just to be real, this would take a very long time. This is not something they're going to get done in some weekend session. Not happening, okay? It's going to take a long time. It's going to take a lot of effort. However, their backup plan to this is expanding Medicare, okay? So the reason that I said this is going to encompass about 64.5 million people, because that's how many people are enrolled in Medicare right now. 64.5 million people. Obviously, give or take a little bit, but that's the most recent round number that I've seen out there, okay? So here's the backup plan to this. If they cannot get Medicare for all pushed through, what they want to do is expand it to include hearing, dental, and vision coverages, okay? So this is something they've also talked about for a while now. The last couple of years, we've heard a number of different things about this, as in, if we can't get Medicare for all, let's at least get Medicare expansion, okay? So that is the secondary plan that they want to do with this. So obviously they're going to go big on this thing first, but if they can't get the whole, the whole deal on this, as in the whole Medicare for all thing, then they'll go with this Medicare expansion. So here's what they want to do about this. With the Medicare expansion, like I said, they want to include hearing, dental, and vision coverages into it, okay? So as of right now, that may not be the case, right? However, they want to include all of this, okay? So as a result of this, they have hearing basically already in the plan, okay? So as of right now, they're saying, okay, hearing is in, that's great. People who are enrolled in this can get hearing aids and stuff like this, and again, it'll be covered, okay, which would be awesome, right? Now, vision is still kind of on the fence as far as they're like, well, we could add vision, it's going to cost a little bit more, it might be a little bit more difficult, but it looks like vision will probably also be included. However, the big caveat is dental, right? Dental, it's a very expensive one, and they recognize that. They said that right away, which is, dental is very expensive. If we add dental coverages into Medicare coverages through this expansion, it's going to be a very expensive thing. So then they start to come up with all these secondary ideas, which would be, okay, well, if we don't add dental, what can we do to help the beneficiaries? Because ultimately they need, healthy teeth and things like this too, right? So then they came up with this idea of, well, why don't we, do a one-time, basically a one-time payment to all these 64.5 million beneficiaries of $800. So this is what's coming up, okay? Let me explain the details about this now that kind of the backstory of all of this is kind of hammered out here. So the whole idea behind this would be, like I said, number one, push for the Medicare for all. If this gets no traction and if they can't get it any further than they have it as of right now, which they've actually made quite a bit of way, to be real with you, but they still got a massive, massive hurdle in front of them if they actually want to get this Medicare for all thing done at any time relatively soon, okay? It's going to take a lot of effort out of Congress. So the backup plan to that would be the Medicare expansion, adding hearing, dental, and vision coverages. And then for some reason, if they can't get all of those covered, the concession would be a one-time $800 payment to these 64.5 million people. It could be a one-time check. I've seen it in a variety of different ways that they've talked about. A one-time $800 check. I've seen it as a one-time $800 prepaid card that could be used for whatever. And then I've also seen it as a one-time $800 prepaid card that must be used on dental. Okay, so there's a few different ideas that have been floating around. But let me explain that really quickly in the event that it was actually this, $800 card that has to be used on dental, okay? Now, this is one of the ideas, but this one, it has some traction, but then again, at the same time, some people are suggesting that this may not be the best approach. And how do we monitor that it's actually being used on dental? Which is also a question that I want to ask. How do you know that I'm using it on dental and I'm not out at the grocery store buying some groceries? You know what I mean? I guess in my opinion, that is kind of dental, right? If you're buying food with it, you got to use the dental to eat the food, right? So there you go, using some dental, right? So anyway, there's always a way around everything, right? Anyway, I'm not saying that would be ethical. I'm just simply saying, you know what I mean? It's like, that's kind of their concern is how do you determine that this money is actually being used on dental procedures rather than groceries or gas or whatever, clothing, other things other than that, right? So basically what the idea would be is that, giving these individuals this $800 prepaid card, it acts just like a debit card. You use it, and once it's gone, it's gone. That's the whole thing, okay? So it'd be like a prepaid debit card is what it would essentially be. But anyway, what the idea was is that these individuals that would get the card could essentially go to their local dentist office or whatever, things like this, and use it for dental procedures, cleanings, checkups, whatever you want, just anything dental, okay? But then, like I've said in other videos that we talked about this, I've said, okay, has anybody been to the dentist lately? Because it's very expensive, okay? Maybe you could get like a cleaning or exam or something like that, maybe a couple of those out of $800. But if you needed anything like, I don't know, a crown or a cavity filled or anything like this, that $800 is going to be gone immediately, right? That goes very fast when it comes down to any of that stuff. So the whole idea behind this, yeah, it would be nice. It would certainly help out a lot of people. And then again, many people here in the community might think, forget the card. I don't want an $800 card to spend at the dentist. That's the last thing I want to do, right? I need $800 to get groceries, to pay my utilities, to put gas in the car, to whatever. It doesn't really matter. Just $800 for other things. So again, that was kind of one of the other secondary ideas. So it's like a bunch of ideas within different ideas and plans, okay? So again, at the very top, Medicare for all. If that doesn't work, then Medicare expansion. And then within the Medicare expansion, hearing, dental, vision. If all of that does not add in, then if they drop dental, then we have this potential $800 card on the table. And then they have three different options of getting this card out. A direct deposit into bank accounts. It could be a prepaid debit card that could be used on anything, or it could be a prepaid debit card to be used on just dental procedures. So again, many different ideas here, right? So either way, this is what they're now talking about. And again, this Medicare for all idea is the main one that's out there right now. But then we have all these secondary and, sub ideas, if that kind of makes sense, that are under this whole Medicare for all big plan, right? So anyway, want to bring this to your attention, which, by the way, do you want to guess who's behind this Medicare for All thing? You can probably guess, right? It's a name that I've thrown out here on the channel a number of different times. It's a name that many of us recognize. It's a name that makes a lot of attention, makes a lot of noise, rattles the cage, gets a lot of attention. Yeah, it's Bernie Sanders. You're right. Yep. Okay. Bernie Sanders is one of the major people behind this Medicare for All thing. Okay. So anytime that we see Bernie Sanders coming out with something, we got to pay attention to him. Okay. Like I said before in other videos, whether you like him or you don't like him, you just got to watch him. Okay. It doesn't really matter. If you don't like him, that's totally fine. Just got to pay attention to what he's doing. Okay. Because there's a lot of times that he comes out with different things. There's different times that he comes out and introduces something, and before we know it, it's working, or it's passing, or they're voting on it, or something like that. So it's like, whatever Bernie's doing, just keep an eye on him. You don't have to do like extensive research on the guy or follow everything very closely, but just got to keep at least one eye on him because you just never know what he's going to pull out, right? So it's this. He's got a couple other things up his sleeve right now, and yeah, he's really rattling the cage. He's really making a lot of noise about a lot of things. So anyway, I want to bring this to your attention. Of course, as we get any other information on this or anything else going on out there, of course, I'll bring it to your attention right away. But this is the latest talk out there and what they're now doing. So, of course, I'll keep an eye on this. Any other details, I'll bring it to you right away. So hope this helps you. Again, please make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet. Share the video with your friends, family, social media, and go back and check out any other thousands and thousands of videos here on the channel. Leave your comments, your questions, your feedback down below. Just want to keep you informed of everything going on. It's a super busy and weird time right now. Things are changing rapidly, and there's a lot of different ideas out there, a lot of proposals, plans, packages, things like that. But to be fair, like I said in other videos, just because there's a lot of ideas, just because there's a lot of proposals, there's, for example, for every, say, 100 ideas or proposals, and again, I'm just throwing out random numbers, maybe out of all those, they maybe only vote on maybe 10, you know what I mean? Maybe even less than that, maybe 8, maybe 10. And of those that they vote on, maybe only like 2 or 3 actually pass through, okay? So it's a very small percentage of the actual plans that are out there that actually pass through Congress. So I think we all completely recognize this, but at the end of the day, you just never know what those ones are going to be, right? So that's why you got to watch everything closely. Anyway, hope that makes sense. Again, leave your comments, your questions, your feedback down below. Subscribe, share the video, go back and check out the other videos here on the channel, and enjoy your day. Take care. Hope this helps you. And again, I'll catch you again later in the